It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Keatsman in on a dreary, cold Wednesday, feeling more like November and the holidays. Got a great show lined up for you today, including in a moment. I've been holding this for a few days, waiting for it for just the right time, and I've got these sidebar stories to go with it to make it perfect. Nudity in Leawood. Oh, the horror. Yes, we're going to dive into that today. Also, an unbelievable video that was put out yesterday by elected Democrats imploring service members in the CIA, the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force to disobey orders in the military and risk being court-martialed for treason. Yes, they are doing this. One of them is a very famous senator who served himself in the Air Force and became an astronaut. This is a crazy story. A lot of stuff to talk about today. I'm going to share an email with a listener that was sent to me who is a trucker responding to the commentary that we had a couple days ago about the trucker that was caught in Kansas that is the illegal alien from Uzbekistan with a commercial driver's license from Pennsylvania. He's in the industry, and this is a doozy. And, of course, we'll check in with Mark, get his thoughts on KU falling to Duke last night and other musings toward the end of the show. But we start today with, well, it's such an easy target. I'm sorry. I apologize to everyone that lives in Leawood. I know that it's not you. If you're listening to this, you're not the problem with Leawood. Leawood worries about so many things they shouldn't be worrying about, and they get their panties in a wad over stuff that's absolutely nothing. And last Friday afternoon, after doing the show, I went home and had a little lunch. It was a beautiful day. Went to play 9 holes of golf, the golf course near our house. When we were done, it was dark. We sat out on the patio. They have a fire pit out there. And another gentleman that I've known for a long time that I did business with for many, many years, he's owned and operated Planet Sub restaurants around Kansas City for a long time. He comes up and he starts talking to us, and he's with some other people, and we start talking. And I meet a new person. I'm not going to give this lady's name. And they just start talking about, things going on. She says, "Oh, you won't believe what I saw this morning." And she shows me a picture on her phone of a naked guy walking down the street, College and Knoll in Leawood at 11 a.m. on a Friday. And I said, "Well, that's weird. Did you call the police? What happened?" "No, he was just walking around. He didn't even look like he was messed up or anything." I posted it on X. I got flagged by X for adult content for posting the photo. And I said, "Wow, all the things Leawood worries about, and they got naked guys running around." And she goes, "Yeah, they really do have naked guys." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I saw a different man 2 weeks ago." And I said, "Well, all you can see in the photo is the butt cheeks. I shouldn't have got flagged, right? It was a butt cheek picture." She goes, "Yeah, there's another guy 2 weeks ago in very much the same area walking around naked in Leawood." And I said, "Well, how do you know it wasn't the same man?" And she said, "Well, that was a black man." I said, "Okay, so you're pretty sure by skin color it was a different human being." Got it. So I know somebody who has seen 2 naked dudes in business hours, like weekday business hours, 11 a.m., just walking around Leawood naked. Now, I don't know what's going on in Leawood, but now apparently there's some homes associations in Leawood, and Overland Park for that matter, that think they're so powerful because I'll just say this about people in Leawood, and this is a generalization, but stereotypes exist for a reason. There's a lot of people in Leawood with nothing but time on their hands. Good for them. You live at Hallbrook and you're just loaded rich, and that's great. You sit around all day and worry about things you shouldn't be worrying about. Awesome for you. And if you think your HOA is so powerful, you're going to take down the city, the county, the state, and the Royals, that's incredible. The hubris of some people in Leawood is amazing to me. Now, there's going to be an uproar if this is where the Royals say they're going. There's going to be pushback. And I don't think if the Royals do announce in the next few weeks that their plan is to build an Overland Park, I don't think it's a slam dunk done deal. It doesn't require a vote, but it is going to require politicians on commissions, boards, councils to approve a lot of things that they may hear from their residents that's not going to be popular for them. Now, maybe these folks don't care. Those are crappy jobs anyway, let's be honest. Do you really want to be on the Leawood or Overland Park Council? I can't imagine how many emails you get and how often your phone, especially Leawood. Oh, my God. Can you imagine the Karens that you hear from in Leawood? if you're on that council. And even if you're a Democrat on that council, you're still hearing from them, and it's annoying to you. You know it is. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen here with the Royals, 119th and Null or whatever. But then I see today a big headline story in the Kansas City Star. Leawood is getting wider sidewalks and more crosswalks because an 8-year-old boy a couple of years ago crashed his bike on a sidewalk, spilled into the street, and got hit by a car. He's okay. He lived. He got clipped, or his bike got clipped by the car. Since the beginning of bicycles, 8-year-olds have crashed their bikes. Since the beginning of bicycles, 8-year-olds have been hit by cars. Well, bicycles came before cars, I feel sure. But since cars were invented, this is going to happen. Leawood can do a lot of things. They're not going to keep this from happening. They may make it safer, and I'm all for that. That's great. If that's the priority in Leawood is we got to spend a whole bunch of money here to get wider sidewalks so people can share the sidewalks with bikers, which apparently is the plan because what? It's cheaper than widening the road and putting in bike lanes? There's nothing safe about riding a bike, let's be honest. You're out there with cars. Drivers are distracted. They're on their phones. People don't see traffic lights. We got naked dudes walking around in Leawood. But bully for them. They want wider sidewalks and more crosswalks, and they're going to do it. I don't know what Leawood's priorities are. I feel like their HOAs in their communities in Leawood are not going to stop the Royals. The city, maybe. The representation in Leawood and Overland Park on the county commission, maybe. Representation in Topeka, maybe. But I don't think it's going to be HOAs. As Channel 4 did a story and interviewed a guy, he's like, hey, nobody in my neighborhood, we got 80-some homes in here. Nobody wants it. I agree with that. But the residents are telling him basically like, over my dead body, this is going to happen. Well, let's see what you're going to make happen. You can't stop it. If it's going to happen, you're defeated. If you live near 119th and Null, you're toast. You better be ready to really rally up in some unbelievable way that they've never seen in Johnson County to stop the Royals from coming there. You're going to have to do things that have not worked when you're out there for your No Kings rally or whatever it is that you're doing. That's not going to do it. That effort for the No Kings rally will not stop the Royals. That's not going to happen. You're going to need to be better than that in Leawood, and you're going to need more than HOAs, I can promise you. Really solid stuff. I saw this story. We're going to end the opening segment here with something fun because I'm kind of in a smiley mood. I don't know if you can tell. And I don't like making fun of people. I don't. The reality of the situation in Leawood, we kind of know what it is. And now we just got naked guys walking around. If of all places in Kansas, how is this not like huge news that there's a naked guy problem in Leawood? Like somebody, sneezes in Leawood, it becomes news. And we got naked dudes walking around Leawood like crazy, apparently. Because I know somebody who's seen 2 different guys in 2 weeks. Maybe it's a nudist club. Maybe they've just decided to come out. Maybe it's a no-shave November and they want to show it all off. I didn't say that, did I, Mark? I did. So this is in Dearborn, Michigan, which is turning Muslim. There's no other way to say it. They're taking over. They've already taken over Dearborn, Michigan. And some people in the area are not happy with this. A guy named Jake Lang, who was a J6er, decided he was going to this Muslim rally where they were, I don't know what they were protesting, what was going on, but they organized kind of an anti-Sharia law takeover of this Michigan city kind of thing, and you can imagine it didn't go very well. Jake Lang shows up. He's got a bulletproof vest on, and he's got a Quran in his hand. And he walks up to these people, stays the fair distance away. He's not like in their face and bumping into them and all that stuff, and holds it up in the air. And he's got, I didn't even know they made Zippo lighter fluid anymore. You used to put them in your light. My dad used to put Zippo in his lighter to light his Winston cigarettes that he smoked the entire time I was a kid. And he's got this Zippo lighter fluid and he's pouring it on the Quran and he's got a Bic and he's going to set it on fire. And some dude walks over and just knocks the living daylights out of his hand and does that. And Jake Lang goes, really? Hold my beer. And he reaches into his back pocket and pulls out another Quran and a pound of bacon. He starts rubbing the bacon against the Quran, and these people just start going crazy. They're like, hey, I'm protected, man. This is America. This is my right. Apparently, you've got a right to come here, many of you illegally, take over this community, take over the city council, take control of everything that's going on in your quest to implement Sharia law, which won't work out well for women in Dearborn, Michigan, but they want this to happen, and Jake Lang is out there opens the package, it's raw bacon, and just starts rubbing it all over the pages of the Quran. American free speech is something else, folks. It's dangerous. Be careful. I would not recommend doing what Jake Lang did in any way, shape, or form. But the point is, if you're going to go protest, do it right. And maybe he learned his lesson on J6, because I think he did get arrested for that. Don't trespass. Follow the rules. Don't bump into them. Don't get physical, but get their attention. Hold up the Quran at a Muslim revival or whatever they would call it, rally of some sort in Dearborn, and pour Zippo lighter fluid on it and act like you're going to burn it. You got their attention. When that fails, pull another one out and start rubbing bacon on it. I think he made his point. America is one wild place, folks. I love America. I think this stuff's been going on since the beginning of time. I think we see a lot more of it. This is the kind of story you never, ever, ever in a million years would have heard of, even probably 10 years ago or certainly 20 years ago. You just wouldn't have heard about it. Be a little blurb in the paper. Oh, there's some people from the Middle East that are moving into Dearborn, Michigan, and they've got 4 seats on the city council, and you read it and not think anything of it. But when you see it, like you live in that neighborhood and you feel what's going on there, man, we're an improvingly informed society. A lot of people see a lot of things, and it's wild to be American. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to spend some time talking about a video the Democrats made that you won't believe, compelling service members basically to commit treason and disobey orders. Right now, we go to the phones. If you'd like to get on the air, I can get you right on at 913-408-7957. We start today with Stu in Rosedale. How are things in Rosedale, Stu?
Oh, just grand, Kevin, just grand. I'd love to comment on the sedition of those Democrats that urge our military to disobey orders, but instead I'm going to focus on the burning of the Koran, because I happen to have written about this in 2010 in American Thinker. There was a church in Gainesville, Florida, that was planning to burn the Koran to commemorate 9/11. And I wrote a piece called Why Burn the Entire Koran? And my premise was that there was no need to burn the entire Koran, only those parts that are hateful to other religions or to infidels in general, or those chapters that instruct how infidels are worthy only of being converted or enslaved or killed. And only those pages, could be burned. The pages that command Muslims to wage jihad and
can or should be burned. You keep saying can. You obviously can burn the whole thing. You mean should. Your opinion was only those pages.
I'm standing up for the Koran.
For the rest of it.
There's no need to burn the entire Koran.
There's no need to burn anything. And one of the things I've thought all along is
we wouldn't want to burn the parts that exhort Muslims to respect the sensitivity of others and to cherish life and
you're actually talking about two different things than what I was talking about today, but I appreciate that. I understand where you're coming from, that there are good things in the Quran. My comments were not about the Quran. I know very little about it, and I'm not going there. I'll allow you to say your piece. My point was about America and all these demonstrations, and I know this. That man went there to agitate those people. All right? He doesn't care about the Quran or what it says. He's never read it. He doesn't know anything about it. He just knows if he's threatening to burn it, he's going to piss these people off.
He may well have read it, Kevin.
Huh?
He may well have read it.
But he may well have not.
Well, I mean, my premise is...
Do you think most people have read the Quran, or do you think most people that are anti-Sharia law are just kind of like anti-Muslim? We really don't want them to take over our city council.
Oh, okay. Yes, let's stand up for the Muslims.
What are you talking about, Stu? You've lost me. Again, you've lost me.
Let's preach respect and tolerance for them the way they do for the other religions of the world.
But
let's preach coexistence like they do. There's no need to burn those many parts of the Koran which describe a loving, forgiving God who inspires his worshipers to go forth and spread his love among their neighbors and the rest of the world. There's no need to burn those parts of the Koran.
You're exactly right. I'm going to stop you right there. You're repeating yourself. Thank you for the call. I appreciate that. The worst serial killers 99.9% of their lives didn't harm anybody. It's the 13 times that they took an hour and did something really heinous that defines them. I don't know. I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm not talking about the Quran. This show will never get in the weeds on this stuff. I'm not. This is not a religion show. It's nothing. I was pointing out where we are in America today, and I was actually laughing that somebody finally is doing something I thought rather humorous. Now, my personal belief is if you set something on fire at a demonstration, you should be cited with some sort of an ordinance or a crime. I think you should be fined for that. I don't think burning anything is right, and I don't think it should be legal. I can't burn leaves in my backyard. Why would I be able to go to, down in front of City Hall or the J.C. Nichols Fountain and burn a Koran in front of a bunch of Muslims, and that's not a crime? I don't understand a lot of things in this country that you don't get arrested for anymore or crimes. I don't get it. They just let people walk. But I don't think we should be setting things on fire. He never did that. He was pouring the lighter fluid on it, acting like he was going to do it. I don't think he ever meant to set fire to it because he thought, well, he's probably got a probationary period here after his J6 problems. Even if it was commuted by Trump and all that, they could hit you hard in Dearborn for something like that. He was there to agitate them. The point I'm trying to make is we've sat back for years and watched the left agitate America. They're professional agitators. The Tea Party came along, which was conservative. They didn't agitate anybody. They went out and marched and stood for what they stood for. We don't really have a whole lot of rebellion in us to go try to agitate people. But if you show up at a TPUSA event, a Charlie Kirk event or something, the agitators are coming and they're going to engage you. They're going to try to pick a fight. They're going to walk through crowds and shoulder bump you and do all these violent things and try to provoke you into doing something crazy. That's their game. This guy was from the right, clearly conservative, and he wanted nothing to do with really engaging any of these people. He was just trying to agitate them and see if they go off, and it worked. A guy walked like 20 feet, walked over to him and knocked the thing out of his hand. He got the response he wanted. And he didn't walk into their group and engage them at all. And I think it's pretty darn funny that after his cigarette lighter-fueled Koran falls on the ground, he pulls another one out of his pocket and starts rubbing bacon on it. That's an agitator. That's probably the way we should be thinking about doing these things and not harming others. I was not looking for a deep Koran conversation today. I'm sorry. Not my area of expertise. We could get guests on and do that. And you could all go listen to music for an hour and then come back, or we could just stay away from the topic entirely, which is probably the best idea, is to stay away from reading the Bible to you or the Quran or any other religious documents. That's a very private, individual thing, and we talk about America, citizenship, and patriotic issues here more than religion. That's my personal choice as the host. I have the right to do that. Stu, I appreciate the fact that you're very involved in this, and you wrote for the American Spectator once. American Spectator, is that what he said?
American Thinker.
American Thinker. Yeah. Wrote for the American Thinker on this topic. I appreciate the lesson on the Quran that it's mostly good. The worst people that have ever lived and the worst religions and the worst dynasties and the worst of all of us humans were mostly good. It's a mostly peaceful protest, folks. Yet the damn car's on fire back there. We know how this works. Some dude set a car on fire. The rest of it, I guess, was mostly peaceful. When we come back, Dems gone wild on video. So I'm surfing through X yesterday, and a video pops up. And the first thing I think is it's AI. It's fake. This isn't real. This is not happening. There's no way. This is a big-time play on the Democrats. Somebody out there, really a wily character, put this thing together. And it's Mark Kelly, the former astronaut, now senator from Arizona, and several other Democrat elected officials. And they're splicing through. The video lasts maybe a minute and a half long. And I think there's 5 people on here total. And they all basically say the same thing in very short clips of like 3 or 4 seconds. Like, you don't have to. And then they cut to a woman who goes, you don't have to. And then another guy says, you don't have to. So it's this over and over and over. I'd play it for you, but it's disgusting anyway. So it doesn't matter. Plus, seeing it makes a pretty big difference too. What they get to about 40 seconds in on this video, and it is real, because other news outlets have picked it up, whatever. It's real. Where they go with this is Eventually, they get to a place where they're talking to service personnel. If you serve in the CIA, the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force, like we have, they're all from one of those branches, or any other branch of service, they say you can refuse an illegal order. Prior to that, they say the law is very clear on this. The law is very clear on this. The law is very clear on this. You can refuse an illegal order. They don't emphasize illegal. They almost like roll by it like you don't want you to hear that. Now, I guess they're presuming that some first-year guy just out of basic training doesn't want to do something he's ordered to do. He's going to think, well, that sounds illegal to me. I'm not going to do that. What, we have lawyers now in the military? They're all going to know what's legal and what's illegal, what they've been ordered to do? No. You're in the military. It's a simple concept. You do what your superiors tell you, period, end of conversation. That's how it works. It goes all the way to the top to the commander-in-chief, Donald J. Trump. It is a tried and true, trusted system. It is not foolproof, and there have been failures. There have been failures in command. There's been insubordination, and we've made mistakes, quite honestly. Weapons of mass destruction. You make mistakes. It's not a perfect science. War fighting, military, all these things, not perfect. It's the ugliest thing we do, but it is possibly the most necessary thing that we do. So these people are all on there, and they get to the end and they go, you can refuse an illegal order. You can refuse an illegal order. It's like one word. They say illegal order like it's one word. And then the last guy says, you must refuse an illegal order. And I'm thinking, how low can these people go? Where will the Democrats stop? This is going to be seen by a lot of people in the service, and Democrats go into service too. Radicals go into service. Transgenders go into service. A lot of different people go into service. They're just looking for one person. They want one person to become the poster child that our Department of War under Donald J. Trump is corrupt. They want one person in the military to say, no, I'm not doing it, to get basically arrested or jailed or court-martialed or have some big trial and make some big stink that I'm not going to do that. I was told to do this and that was illegal. Whether it's legal or illegal or not will not matter at that point. The Democrats, not unlike the man in Dearborn, Michigan, who pulled out the Koran and was trying to agitate and instigate something, that's what they're doing here with our military. We have elected Democrat politicians that are trying to undermine the chain of command in the military so they can have some sort of a sideshow to the Trump presidency, not unlike Epstein, not unlike an impeachment, not unlike any of the things they've thrown at Trump. They're trying to manufacture one. They don't care what happens to the person who does this. They don't care if that person gets court-martialed or jailed or commits a crime or goes to prison. They don't care. Democrats don't like you. They don't care about you. They care about themselves and elections. And they really care about causing trouble and going after people that are in power that are in the other party. And that's where they are. And they are absolutely trying to instigate something here and cause a problem within the military. And it just, over and over and over, these things happen. I'm like, how many things can Democrats do? I mean, what will they do? Jasmine Crockett was out there yesterday. I think Pete played the audio earlier today. It's incredible. She went after Lee Zeldin and others, Mitt Romney, some others, that, oh, you're making a big deal about Hakeem Jeffries was soliciting money from Jeffrey Epstein. They called Hakeem Jeffries the next Obama out of New York, and they were trying to get money out of Jeffrey Epstein back in the day when Hakeem Jeffries was starting his career. And, well, Jazz Crockett, her little comeback is, well, look at Lee Zeldin got money from Jeffrey Epstein. And look at all these Republicans. This idiot was talking about a Jeffrey Epstein that's a doctor in upstate New York, a different Jeffrey Epstein, Dr. Epstein. They're crazy. These people really don't know how to do their job. The only thing they know how to do is campaign, agitate, instigate, go after opponents, and maybe even use somebody in the military as a stoolie to get in all kinds of trouble and maybe even go to jail so they can claim something publicly against Donald Trump. That's all this video is. They're looking for one person in the military to raise holy hell. That's it. They want one person so they have a story. Because they don't want you to see what it is that they do. This one's getting no attention. Do you guys remember the big ship that came into the harbor in Maryland? It's the Port of Baltimore, right? Smashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Destroyed it. The port was closed for several months. They got it back open. They went to the federal government and said, we need 1 point. This is the state of Maryland. Wes Moore, their government, their Democrat governor, that's Obama's guy. If Obama has his way, Wes Moore will be president someday. That's his guy. He really, really, really likes Wes Moore, the Maryland governor. Wes Moore says, I need $1.9 billion from the federal government to rebuild this bridge. Of course, they go along with it. Here's your $1.9 billion. How long has this been? Year and a half since this happened? Well, lo and behold, it's running 2.5 years behind schedule. It can't possibly be done till the end of 2030. And now they say it's not $1.9 billion, it's $5.2 billion. And they're asking the Trump administration to help them out. Well, Trump's a builder. Trump likes to do things. It's time to turn that into a federal bridge. Trump's a builder. Take it away from Wes Moore. Think about if the governor of Maryland is a Democrat who is likely the person that Obama wants to promote to become president, and they have a $5.2 billion budget for a bridge. Where do you think all that money's going? Which contractors, which subs, which unions, which groups, which fairness in housing, transportation, because we got to reroute these roads. Imagine whose hands are getting slimy greased up with all kinds of cool cash from the federal government in Maryland that will turn around and support Wes Moore when he runs for president. This is one of the dirtiest things going on in America. They do not need $5.2 billion to rebuild that bridge. They don't. If I'm Trump, I'm telling these people, you're done. You're out. We're taking it over. If we're funding this, if you don't have any money for this bridge, we're funding it. It's a port. It's an important thing. The bridge is necessary. Build it, Trump, just like you're going to build on the east side of the White House, your ballroom, which, by the way, we badly need the ballroom. Did you see the pictures and the video of the dinner last night? There was not officially a state dinner. The crown prince of Saudi Arabia is not the king. He will be. He's the de facto, I don't know, CEO, prime minister, whatever. He's in charge. And he's better than a lot of his family prior to him. It's not great. They still do nefarious things in Saudi Arabia. We recognize that here. But he wants technology in Saudi Arabia to begin replacing oil because he knows his country someday, oil won't be that necessary and they're going to have a real problem on their hands. But they're so wealthy, he's like, we should jump in this tech boom. So Trump's having this dinner last night at the head of the first table. Well, first, when Trump walks in, he does the bro pat with Elon Musk, who is there. So they're back together. They're putting the band back together, folks. That's what's happening. Trump walks around the room. They play Hail to the Chief. He walks up to the head of the first table where Melania sits down to his left and MBS, the crown prince, is to his right. And this table goes down 40, 50 people deep across from each other. And it is amazing, the lineup of people. They've got the CEO of Apple across from the CEO of AMD, which is an AI technology company. They've got them all there. Like the crown prince wants to meet Apple and AMD and all these NVIDIA and all these people. He wants tech in Saudi Arabia. He wants plants. He wants AI. He wants all this. He's investing $1 trillion here. But they're all sitting at this table, which is very long, and they're just kind of cramped in. It looked like the worst room ever. It looked beautiful. Everything Trump does looks beautiful. But the servers walking around on the video that I'm watching, they're turning sideways to walk between tables. You know, it's like that wedding venue you go to that was a little too small and they invited a few too many people, and it's just really crowded everywhere you walk. It felt like it looked like the concourse of a ball game. It was just too crowded. They need a ballroom. But that dinner made me very proud as an American. I don't know why a dinner like that should make me proud, and I'm not making a political statement about Saudi Arabia. I don't know enough about him. I trust Trump that we shouldn't be meddling in a lot of things that countries do that we don't like. We got our own problems here of things that I don't like here. We shouldn't be meddling in that. But if we can find wealthy countries that will do business with us and make America a better place, and this prince wants to invest, he announced yesterday, $1 trillion. They're going to be investing in America and American companies in their quest for technology, basically. That's what they want. They're buying some F-35 airplanes. Trump's selling them some military equipment. It is widely regarded that the reason Iran's nuke facilities are gone, and it didn't create more of an uproar than it did, and Israel and Gaza has sort of ended, at least for the time being. The prisoners were swapped. It is largely believed it was Saudi Arabia's influence on that. They still won't recognize Israel as a state, but it sounds like they're getting close. If there's going to be meaningful peace in our lifetime in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia is going to have to lead the way. They're the big player. They're absolutely the big player, and Trump knows that. And yeah, okay, I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your religion is. Let's figure this out. Let's do business together, and let's just create better countries for ourselves and not worry about each other so much. Is there really anything more American than that? Like, you can criticize Saudi Arabia all day long. Remember 3 years ago, Phil Mickelson went to play golf on the Live Tour, which is owned by the Saudi trust fund, pension fund. And they paid him all this money. And people just, they canceled Phil Mickelson. They're like, oh, you can't do that. They were involved in 9/11. Well, yeah, we're doing deals with Japan. They bombed Pearl Harbor. At some point, you bury that and say, let's not do that again. Let's find a way to be friends with Japan and have them be an ally, and they won't bomb us again. Let's maybe try that with Saudi Arabia. Does that sound like a reasonable plan? Because it sounds really reasonable to me. It sounds very American. We don't want to turn them into America. Trump's not interested in that. He's just like, let's be friends. You don't fund terrorists to hurt us. We'll help you with technology. Here's the CEO of Apple. He's sitting right here. Here's AMD's CEO. She's sitting right here. I mean, this Trump makes it look so easy, and there's so much common sense to all of it. But your takeaway while you were watching this beautiful dinner was, he needs a ballroom. He needs a big, beautiful ballroom, and he's getting it. Time for our next break. Mark Van Sickle joins us next. We got to talk about that KU Duke game last night and more. This is Uncanceled on KCMO. It's incredible the stories that are coming out since Trump is president, the things that we're seeing that we did not know were going on. We knew there was a lot of illegal immigration, but we didn't know how much. This driver that got picked up in Kansas, that's a terrorist from Uzbekistan, compelled one of my listeners to the podcast to send me an email. He said, Kevin, long story short, I work for a manufacturer. I was unloading machines in Pittsburgh, Kansas yesterday. As is the case quite often, we cannot communicate with the driver at all. He was Russian or something because I kept having to use Google Translate on his phone to communicate. His driver's license was from Pennsylvania, so ironic. The picture I saw on the news did not look like this guy, but it sure got my attention when I heard it. So I emailed him back. I said he was totally illegal. Is there a way to report somebody like that? And he responded back and said, well, he had to show his driver's license to a commission member who are basically like cops. You wouldn't believe how bad it is. Since COVID, I'd say 90% of the trucks we receive, the drivers are clearly illegal and we can't communicate with them. 2 weeks ago, the security asked the driver for his license. He first said he didn't have one, then produced 3 on his phone. Finally, he found a physical license from California. I see it every week. Prior to 2020, we saw mostly older white dudes driving trucks. You know, the stereotype, good old boys. They're few and far between now. You wouldn't believe my story since 2020. I believe it, man. But Mark, we didn't know. We just didn't know there was a trucker problem out there. This is one of the most shocking things we didn't know. Like USAID, when these things popped up, it's just crazy we didn't know they were going on.
Yeah. I think it started popping up when we had that trucker strike a couple years ago in Canada.
In Canada.
Kind of came down to the U.S. a little bit. So
wow. Just absolutely wild stuff taking place. How about this story? A woman pleads guilty to lying about the first crime in space, like outer space. Do I have your attention on this one?
Yeah.
Story's a few years old. In 2019, a woman named Summer Warden claimed her ex-wife, Anna McClain, well, her then-wife, Anna McClain, they shared a son that was born by a surrogate, who was an astronaut and an Iraq veteran from space, the space station in 2019, illegally accessed her bank account by guessing a password.
Took money out and outer space?
This was a huge deal. The Federal Trade Commission was involved, NASA, there was a lawsuit and a crime and a trial. She has now pleaded guilty to making the whole thing up. Apparently, her ex-wife now had access to that bank account for 4 years prior to that. She made the whole thing up. She faces 5 years in jail and $250,000 in fines. People lie. Oh, people lie. Kansas fell to Duke last night, Mark, 78-66. I was not at all unimpressed with KU. There was more to like than not like, and I walked away thinking, well, if they had Darren Peterson tonight, they win that game. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. The guys that surround Peterson, I think, are better than what we might have thought going into it. So I think that's pretty good for KU.
There was a lot of sloppy play on both sides, but that's typical at this Champions Classic. It's early in the season. What you have now is not what you're going to have in March. Bill Self's a great coach. He'll get his team together. I'm looking at them thinking they're going to be better than the last couple of years. Am I missing something? Because I'm hearing from a lot of Kansas fans that are like, this program's toast. We're never going back to being great again. They are 3-2, but do you see something there that's considerably better than the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think that their athleticism kind of pops this year. Like, there was so many good dunks last night. I know that didn't equate to a win, but it's just a more exciting brand of basketball.
Missouri and K-State are undefeated in basketball so far, 9-0, but they haven't played North Carolina and Duke like KU has. The schedules are much different. Did you notice did you see the jersey snafu last night in the game?
Was it Bryson Tiller?
Bryson Tiller.
Yeah. An extra L in his name?
Yeah. Tiller on his jersey was Tiller. How does that happen?
They need spell check, I guess.
He's getting a hurry. I mean, this would have been done in Lawrence. You got all the time in the world in Lawrence to get the jersey ready before you leave.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a new player came in that day and we're printing a new name on a jersey, right?
They packed it.
It's nothing like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But they say, oh, well, we know what size shirt he wears, 3L. I like that one. And Bill Self dismissed any talk of Darren Peterson sitting out for money or whatever's going on and doubled down that he is hurt, that this is legit. You buying that?
Yeah, I don't think that you want to mess with a guy's hamstring. I think that's one of those injuries, especially for a basketball player, that if you try to push it and then it gets hurt again, then he's out for even longer. So they might as well just play it safe. I'm
not buying it. I believe at the very least, the Kansas trainers are telling Bill Self he can play, and the agents, the handlers, the parents, whatever, are saying he's not playing.
He can play.
Right. That he's cleared to play and choosing not to.
It could get worse, though.
Let me rephrase the question. Do you think Darren Peterson has been cleared to play?
Yeah, I think he can play.
Do you think they've cleared him to play? The Kansas officials have said you can play.
I bet so.
I do too. That's my point. And they're saying, no, we're not playing right now. We're going to wait. We're going to play less.
They want to play it safe.
Last year, Arizona State won the Big 12 in football. They had a great quarterback named Sam Leavitt. He's transferring to Virginia Tech.
No. Is that new news?
Yeah.
I just saw that. I mean, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. Double check it, 24/7 Sports.
Nice.
He's going to Virginia Tech with James Franklin.
That's crazy.
$8 million, what the report is.
He's out with an injury right now.
Right. Why go pro if you can transfer to another school for $8 million? Insane. The Vince Show is coming up next.